My wife asked for a trial separation, but when I took her request seriously, she didn't expect me to turn our marriage into a test she couldn't control. What happened next left her begging for a second chance. Another message. She's really upset. Says. You've completely misunderstood what she wanted with this separation week. I smiled to myself. Classic damage control. The narrative was being rewritten, not as her reckless suggestion to live separate lives, but as my extreme overreaction to an innocent exercise. Rather than respond individually, I formulated a more strategic approach. After my morning coffee, I took several photos of the redesigned living room, kitchen, and master bedroom. I carefully framed each shot to highlight the transformation, the removal of her decorative touches, the more masculine aesthetic now dominating our shared space. With these visual proofs in hand, I made my counter move. First, I posted on social media where I'd unblocked her specifically, so she could see the status update. Sometimes life gives you unexpected opportunities for growth and renewal. Embracing change and rediscovering myself. This week so new beginnings, fresh start. I attached the photos of the apartment's transformation. Within minutes, the post garnered attention from our entire social network, including her friends who had undoubtedly heard her side of the story. As predicted, my phone rang almost immediately. It was her mother, concern evident in her voice. What's happening between you two? She called me crying last night. This was my moment to control the narrative. Calmly and without emotion, I explained exactly what had transpired. She proposed a 7-day separation to reassess our relationship. Those were her exact words. I'm simply respecting her wishes by creating genuine separation as requested. If she's upset about the consequences of her own suggestion, that's something she needs to reflect on. The silence on the other end was telling. Her mother, always practical, asked pointedly, was this separation her idea? You told me you both decided this together. I have the text messages if you'd like me to forward them, I replied evenly. This was entirely her initiative. By midday, I learned through shared friends that my wife had left work early, too upset to concentrate. Apparently, her carefully constructed narrative was unraveling as the truth spread through our social circle. The villain role she had tried to assign me was backfiring spectacularly. When she returned home that afternoon, her approach had shifted dramatically. Gone was the indignation of yesterday. Instead, she appeared subdued, almost contrite. Can we please talk? She asked, standing uncertainly in the doorway of what was now exclusively my living room. I looked up from my laptop. The schedule indicates this is my time for the common areas. Your slot begins at 7 p.m. This is ridiculous, she said. But without the conviction of previous confrontations. Everyone thinks we're getting divorced because of your social media posts. I simply shared my experience of the separate lives you requested. I replied. Would you prefer I lie about our current arrangement? She closed her eyes, composing herself. My friends were just suggesting this as a way to appreciate each other more. Not whatever this has become. I shut my laptop deliberately. Interesting how these friends offering relationship advice are all recently divorced. Perhaps not the most credible source for marriage counseling. The truth of this observation hit home. I watched realization dawn across her face. How easily she'd been influenced by people whose own relationships had failed. I made a mistake, she admitted quietly. Can we just end this experiment now? I maintained unwavering eye contact. Day 3 of 7, we committed to this process. Ending it prematurely would defeat the purpose of your reflection exercise, wouldn't it? The frustration on her face was palpable. She was trapped by her own rules. Experiencing the full consequences of her impulsive decision. Your time slot for dinner preparation starts in 3 hours, I reminded her. I'll be using the kitchen until then to meal prep for tomorrow. As she retreated to the guest room, I received another text from her sister. What exactly did she ask for? She's completely falling apart. I responded with screenshot evidence of my wife's original proposal. No commentary needed. The truth spoke for itself. By evening, the power dynamic had shifted completely. What began as her test of our relationship had transformed into a painful lesson about respect, commitment, and consequences. 3 days in, and the experiment was yielding results. Just not the one she had anticipated, when she casually suggested appending our marriage for a week of personal space. The morning of day 4 marked the halfway point of our separate lives experiment. I was reviewing work documents when I heard a soft knock on the bedroom door. She stood there holding a peace offering. My favorite breakfast and coffee prepared exactly how I like it. I thought we could have breakfast together, she suggested hesitantly. Her eyes revealed a night of little sleep, her usually immaculate appearance now noticeably disheveled. I observed the gesture without revealing my thoughts. This was classic reconciliation behavior, using food and caregiving to rebuild connection. Under normal circumstances, I might have welcomed it, but this wasn't about a meal. This was about respect. Thank you for the effort, I said evenly. But I've already eaten. According to our schedule, this is still my private time. Her expression fell. The carefully prepared tray suddenly meaningless. Can we please talk, really talk? I think this has gone far enough. I considered her request for a moment. We can talk, but not about ending this experiment early. That's non-negotiable. Relief flooded her face, as she took this as an invitation, quickly setting the tray down, and sitting at the edge of the bed. I remained standing, maintaining both physical and emotional distance. I made a terrible mistake, she began, voice cracking slightly. The girls from my office, they're all going through divorces, and kept talking about how their marriages failed, because they lost themselves. They convinced me we needed this separation test to strengthen our relationship. I listened without interrupting, noting how she deflected responsibility to external influences. When she finished, I responded with calculated precision. That's interesting because yesterday I had a productive conversation with someone too. I paused deliberately. A divorce attorney. The color drained from her face. What? Why would you? To understand my options, I interrupted calmly. This separation may have started as a test for you, but it's become something more significant for me. It's revealed fundamental issues about respect and commitment in our marriage. It was just a stupid suggestion. I never meant. Intent doesn't erase impact, I stated firmly. When you casually suggested dismantling our life together for a week, you revealed how easily you'd compromise our commitment. That's not something I can simply forget when your experiment ends. Tears formed in her eyes. Are you saying you want a divorce? I'm saying I'm evaluating what I want, which is exactly what you claim to need this separation for. The difference is I'm taking it seriously. She reached for my hand, which I subtly shifted away. The attorney explained interesting points about how experimental separations can be viewed legally. Did you know that in some cases they can be considered evidence of marital breakdown?